campaign. The Ulster lock today underwent surgery on a lingering thumb injury and has been ruled out for between 10 and 12 weeks. Henderson played the full 80 minutes of Ulster's 30 points to 15 Heineken Champions Cup win over the Scarlets on Friday. Scored a pair of tries, of course, in the process. Ulster have also confirmed that flanker Matty Ray suffered a fractured thumb of his own while on club duty and will be out for between 8 and 10 weeks. They're into the second half in tonight's Alone Championship game, the Brian Clough Derby at Pride Park, where it remains Derby 0, Nottingham Forest 0. A Derby win would see them go third in the championship table. If Forest win, they will vault into the playoff spots. No goals as of yet. There is one game in the FA Cup second round. This a replay. It's Southport 0, Tranmere Rovers 2. This is significance to Tottenham Hotspur supporters because Spurs will be away to the winners of this one, but it looks like it will be Prenton Park and Tranmere that hosts Spurs in round 3 come January time. Here at home, Bray Wanderers added some European experience to their squad as they look to escape the SSE Electricity First Division at the first attempt. Goalkeeper Gabriel Sava today signed for the Seagulls after 5 seasons at Dundalk. Sava's career in Ireland actually began at the Carlisle grounds back in 2008. On the Champions League front today, Jurgen Klopp says he's looking forward to returning to his native Germany with Liverpool in the last 16 of the Champions League. The current Premier League leaders were paired with the Bundesliga champions Bayern Munich in today's draw. Elsewhere, Manchester City received perhaps the kindest draw of the Premier League sides. They will travel to Schalke in the first leg. Tottenham will come up against current Bundesliga leaders Borussia Dortmund with the first leg at Wembley. Meanwhile, Manchester United were drawn to face the French giants of PSV. And Raymond van Barneveld is in first round action at the darts tonight in the PDC World Darts Championship. The 5-time world champion is in round 2 action against Darius Labanauskas in the final match at the Oki around about 10:15 tonight. Already we've seen victories for Vincent van der Voort. Darryl Peterson is heading for victory there too, while the 3-time BDO women's champion Anastasia Dobramoslova goes up against Ryan Joyce, and that one is due up at the Oki at around about 9:15. Now time for the football show.
The Football Show on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
I'm prepared to do anything I can to play for my country again.
Do it then. What about your start to the game?
It wasn't bad, was it?
Why should an honest answer be a mistake?
How can a modern day manager not have a mobile phone?
Why should he?
Kev and Joe Football Show is here. Exciting. Great to have you with us, big guy. This is the Off the Ball studio. Do you remember it?
That sounds so insincere, that, honest to God, it does.
I mean it.
Yeah, good one, honest to God.
This is the show. This is where we did the show from, actually, where you're generally talking to us now with your dog jumping all over the Skype.
That was Saturday. That was Murphy, of course. Yeah, Nathan. What am I going to do? I'm not going to put him outside, am I? That's.
Lock him in the bathroom or something.
Yeah, is that what you do? Like put him in I don't know, put him down in the cellar or something like that.
I wouldn't put him down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fairness. So you were in Anfield yesterday. Let's talk, Kev. Liverpool 3, Manchester United 1.
Yeah.
36 shots, Liverpool. 13 corners to 2. Fabinho, who you gave man of the match to, by the way, he made 28 forward passes. Only 2 went backwards in the whole game. That
was a very interesting one. That stat from a midfield holding midfielder. How often do you see that? Back to the goalkeeper, back to the centre halves. He was outstanding yesterday. I was questioning before the game too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's true. This was a complete obliteration, really, of Manchester United. There were shots in the crowd of Ed Woodward covering his mouth and talking to Bobby Charlton.
Yeah.
And shaking his head, basically, Woodward. And Bobby Charlton just said, yeah. Whatever Woodward had said, which I'm suspecting was not good.
Yeah.
Charlton said, yeah. And then there was a shot of Ferguson and David Gill. What would they give to have the 2 lads back?
I know.
And Ferguson gave a very slow shake of the head at one point.
It was the manner in which, cause I think you can imagine Alex Ferguson getting wound up watching it, just with the lack of a little bit of fight. That's what you would say. There's no fight in the game. Sometimes you go... We've all played in games where you've come off and you're off it. You know, you're not be able to get near anybody. But United are doing it too regularly because the game plan is to drop off. We know that now. We know what the game plan is from United. So
they did try and press Arsenal a little bit last week, actually.
Yeah, they did. They changed the system. They went to the back three that they played yesterday and they tried to implement some pressing. And he brought a bit of energy into the side with Lingard and Rashford and... Who else was in that night as well? Martial, I think, played that night, didn't they? But they lacked everything, Joe, yesterday. They had absolutely nothing in midfield. The midfield 3 2 of Herrera and Matic, dreadful. I mean, dreadful, awful.
It's not a midfield that would scare lots of teams, is it?
Not now. I mean, you would have said Matic over the last 10 years has been one of the most consistent midfield performers, hasn't he? And he even did well last year for United.
But he's way off now.
Oh, I wouldn't want to say he's gone, but... he looks like an average Premier League footballer now. Any half-decent midfield player could sit in front of the back four and do exactly what he's doing. That's the way that I would view it anyway.
They're 19 points behind Liverpool. They're 11 points off the Champions League spot. So when you're at the game and you're watching, what's the body language like of the players? Say when the ball goes out of play or breaks in play, are they on to each other? Are they looking around saying, what's going on here? Or is it almost a heads down type of thing?
Yeah, well, I think Nathan mentioned it yesterday in commentary once or twice, body language in relation to a bad pass being made, turning the backs on teammates, waving the hands in the air. The one who was probably as bad as anyone yesterday thought was Victor Lindelof. And I'm going, mate, you're having a nightmare.
You don't have the right to be.
You
like
are
that.
having a nightmare. If I'm on being, because it used to wind me up when I was playing, and lads that used to do that, I've had teammates that would have done that in the past. Look after yourself here. We're having a bad time. Wave your hand around. Signal so the supporters are seeing that I'm trying here. I'm doing my best, and I'd dig them out for that. I would be digging them out in the changing room, even on the pitch. You get your hand down, mate. Don't wave your hand at me. Do your own job. Concentrate on yourself, and then we'll actually come together afterwards. But Victor Lindelof was doing that on a couple of occasions yesterday, waving his arms around when he didn't have a couple of passes. And I'm thinking, mate, you've been caught out 6 or 7 times defensively. You look so poor at the back. You look so poor on the ball. You're getting caught out by trying to take too many touches on the ball. That was maybe the theme of what I said. How many times I said that to you yesterday pre-match, taking too many touches on the ball, whereas Liverpool moving it quickly yesterday. They don't necessarily have midfield players, certainly the two that's ahead of Fabinho, that's going to seriously go and damage you with the passing ability, but they were moving it quickly, get it, give it, run off the ball, and that's how they did it. United. Herrera worked hard, he ran round, no quality, and zero quality. Matic, zero quality. Dalot, the fullback, wing-back, dreadful, absolutely
really dreadful, yeah.
Dreadful.
Because there was a bit of promise about him, and he had a game where he put in some nice crosses, and there was a hope that he might do something for them.
He just had no influence on the game. That when you're playing that style of football, that system, you've got to have an influence going forward, and he had no influence on the
Gone
team.
after 45 minutes, I suppose, is the other thing.
He could have been injured. I don't know.
Yeah. Let's hear from Jose Mourinho then.
Yeah.
Interesting to see what his mood was like afterwards, what his thoughts on the game were. This was Mourinho in his press conference.
First of all, we have lots of problems related with physicality. We have lots of players that I could consider injury prone, because some of our players, they are always injured, and is not.
Who's that?
Is not with me.
Who's always injured?
Was before me. Was, if you look to the stats with Mr. Van Gaal and before Mr. Van Gaal with David, if you look to that period, we have players that are permanently injured. When you are permanently injured, physicality is very difficult to get. Then there are qualities that a player has or doesn't have. You cannot improve, you cannot make them have. I give you an example. Robertson, Mane, Salah, Wijnaldum, Keita, Fabinho, they are physical players. In the top of that, they are good players technically. I also have lots of good players technically, but we don't have many players with that intensity, with that physicality. So when the game has high levels of intensity, it's difficult for us. Our first 20 minutes was difficult for us. Then, when we had the ball, when the tension went down, when the intensity went down, was easier for us to be in the game. We managed to have the ball and to bring the game into, I would say, our side, in the sense of now we are playing the way we can. And these are our qualities. And I think you like to say sometimes that is the manager's choice. You can compare my Porto team with Liverpool. You can compare, because the qualities of the players are there. Was my best team in defensive transition. We lose the ball, we bite like mad dogs, and we recover the ball after 2 seconds. In Real Madrid, I had my best team in direct counter-attack, because I had young Di Maria, young Ronaldo, young Higuain, and young Benzema. We killed everybody in offensive transition. And in Inter, I had my best team in a defensive low block, where people like Materazzi, Samuel, Lucio, Cordoba in a low block. You can be there 5 hours and you don't concede goal. So players make teams play in a certain way.
Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
No. Because I'm happy with Matic, Lingard and Herrera.
So what happened there at the end, if you're listening on the radio, is Mourinho stood up and someone asked him about Pogba and he half answered as he's leaving the press conference. You know, the interesting thing, so he's talking about how basically I don't have the players.
Yeah.
And this team actually has no strength. And you go through the Inter team, they could play a certain way, they had certain strengths. Porto had certain strengths, Real Madrid had certain strengths. He's basically saying this team really don't have a defining quality.
Yeah.
So Mourinho's been there 3 years now plus. He has spent 400 million alone.
Yeah, look at the players that he signed within that starting 11 yesterday, Joe, as well. So he's got Lukaku, Matic, Dalot, Lindelof, Bailly. All these players are signed by him. So 5, 6 players there that I've named that he has signed. If he wants to play that way, then he's got to coach his team to play that way. With the signings that he's made, it's easy for a new signing to walk into a club, listen to what the manager's saying, take on board all his ideas, and then go and implement that on the pitch on the Saturday. He's talking about intensity there, which has been the buzzword over the last 10 or 15 years. I've used it, we've all used it even when you're playing. Let's get the intensity right at the start of the game. Mourinho doesn't play like that. He's never started a game like that. There's been a couple of occasions this season where you and I, when we've even sat in studio at times and or even after been commentating, we speak about it, United have started well, first 5 minutes, and then that's it. It's almost like you've got a 5-minute spell out of them and that's it. So his teams don't play with intensity, so why bring that up? Why bring up the players, the personnel, when he signed a lot of these players and the wages that United are paying? He can't throw around this argument that they've not got the spending power of City and Liverpool because they spent as much.
Yeah,
it's a lot of what he says is seriously flawed, but it's self-preservation. That's all he's trying to do.
It's funny, he mentioned Robertson, Mane, Salah, Wijnaldum, Keita and Fabinho, these physical players that I just don't have. What's really interesting is you leave out Mane, they've all moved to Anfield in the 2.5 years that he's been at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
Like the recruitment there is fairly awful. It is a legacy issue, the recruitment at Manchester United. I mean, Alex Ferguson did things in an old school way. His brother Martin did a lot of scouting for him. There wasn't an infrastructure in place to compare with other teams. So they have been trying to catch up in that respect. However, the players he signed just haven't worked. When you compare the quality that Liverpool have signed, like Van Dijk, why not? Like there was nothing stopping Mourinho to go out and get Van Dijk, another Premier League footballer.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're all led to believe. I think it is true that he had once he'd spoken to Klopp, that was it. Mind made up, I'm going to Liverpool.
He's a Liverpool fan.
So City offered more money, Chelsea offered more money, but no, I'm going to Liverpool. So fair enough, it's a different one, but I understand what you mean. United could go and buy him. Clearly, he's the best centre-half in the Premier League when he was at Southampton. We were all saying that. That's why all those big clubs are in for him. But he's brought Eric Bailly in, he's brought Victor Lindelof in, and Victor Lindelof has done okay in a couple of games this season. I'd say ish. I'm probably you. He's not been great. He's been okay, and
he's done okay because it was so bad at first that now when it's not terrible, we're like, oh, maybe it's not a disaster.
And I'm totally with you on that. I think it's because he was that bad defensively. His position was all over the place positionally. So that was why he's actually done half decent in a couple of games. It makes him look half decent. But what they pay for him, 40 million quid? 50 million. I mean, Joe, 50 million.
Your good friend Roy Keane was on Sky Sports yesterday, and he was saying, okay, there's the Mourinho issue, but actually he was just saying, I'm not even going to be too critical of the players because they're just not good enough. Right? Like, this thing has just gone beyond all blame almost. The players actually aren't good enough, and then there's Mourinho, as we've discussed.
I think, not good enough. It's still going to come back. I think you'd mentioned before the game yesterday, is whatever, yes, he's clearly got a problem with Pogba. The relationship's fractured, it's gone. So we know that. But Graham Souness has said after the game, he said, Pogba must be thinking, surely I'm better than Fellaini, surely I'm better than Matic. And he's saying, if he had the attitude, the right attitude, he is as good as any midfield player in the Premier League. I think we know that. We know he's got that ability.
So did he have the right attitude for France in the World Cup?
Yeah, I heard you talking, was it Kenny I think you were talking to about this? I listened to one of the podcasts about it, and yes, I would probably say he did, because he clearly had raised his levels, he had the trust of the manager. I think Mourinho had spoken about the summertime he'd been banned from social media. I don't think that's it does have an effect. Personally, I don't think that. It's the way that it is. It's the modern game.
Mourinho said he had no time to be distracted during the World Cup. But I would think there's plenty of time. You're sitting around the hotel the whole
100%,
time. You can get up to no good.
He was meaning social media because there was a ban on the squad, wasn't there? There was a ban on the French squad. I think Deschamps had put a ban on the squad from using Twitter or Instagram or whatever it was. So. Yeah, I don't think that's an issue. Even if he was using it, it's him. That's just his personality. It's about getting the best out of him. But whatever's happened between the two of them, personally, I think it's down to the agents because he seems to have fallen out with Lukaku when him and Lukaku last season were best buds, weren't they? They were best mates. Nothing could seem to break that relationship. Yeah. So all of a sudden now, they've both got the same agent. He's fallen out with Pogba. Now he's fallen out with Lukaku. That relationship seems broken as well. So there are so many issues around United, though. Even from what Neville said, he was saying Liverpool are streets ahead. Not one of the United midfielders can pass a ball. Yeah. You don't see them putting 4 or 5 passes together, even just passing for passing's sake like you see teams do, and you think they're not going anywhere, but United just don't do it.
They couldn't keep the ball against Valencia midweek either. There was one point Neville kept making in commentary as well. I was watching bits of Sky Sports and listening to yourself and Nathan, and Mourinho mentioned Robertson making these 100-yard sprints every time, and he said, I'm tired just looking at Robertson. Robertson was amazing, clearly. But Neville was saying that it was Lingard, or was it Rashford or Lingard that was on the right of Gub? It was more Rashford, I think.
No, Rashford was on the left.
Okay.
Rashford's on the left, yeah.
Well, he was making the point that Rashford was tracking Klein on the left-hand side, but that Lingard wasn't going with Robertson. And Neville's point was, it's as if United have surrendered the right-hand side to Robertson.
Yeah.
It's as if Lingard has been told not to track him.
Yeah.
Now, fair enough if Lingard just couldn't keep pace with the relentless running of Robertson and maybe was 5-10 yards behind him, but actually he was standing there and Robertson was going on these mad runs. And Neville couldn't work out actually what was the plan for United's right-hand side.
Yeah. I think I'd said it in commentary myself as well. There was little or no attacks coming down United's right-hand side. As I mentioned, Dalot, he wasn't involved in the game. I personally don't think, I've never rated Darmian. Even when I saw him play for Italy before he'd signed for United, I thought he's never a Man United player. Yeah. Talking about him being the next Dennis Irwin or whatever, it was just nonsense. So
what was their plan for Robertson?
But yeah, what I was saying, so there was nothing. Robertson was their outball for United. So United's attack was they were trying to get down the left-hand side, which again I think it was trying to get Rashford into the game. He didn't play well. Yeah. The outball then was Robertson all the time. Every time Liverpool won the ball back, quick transition, get it out to Robertson, and Robertson was finding positions that it was in between Darmian, it was in between Dalot and. Lingard was a little bit ahead of them. Between the three of them, they never had it. There seemed to be no communication.
So explain to me why the ultra-conservative Mourinho was not saying to Lingard, do not be ahead of Robertson, you need to start tracking him.
100%.
So why did that not happen?
Well, or if the communication would have been before the game that you can pass him on.
Okay, gamble.
No, it's not so much gamble, but it's almost as if you track him back so far and you go, right, well, I don't necessarily need to be going back into the right-back position because we've got 5 across the back as it already is when we're in defensive situations. Pass him on. But it seemed that there probably was some sort of communication, I don't know, but there was no understanding. There was no understanding on how they're going to be able to pick up that left-hand side where Keita was finding little bits of space for himself. Salah or Firmino or even Mane, they were pulling out into that channel. So between the 4 or 5 Liverpool midfield and defender in Andy Robertson as well, they were finding themselves free. They always had an overload down Liverpool's left-hand side. Yeah. And United couldn't deal with it between maybe I personally think it's probably the system that didn't necessarily suit the personnel that were playing yesterday.
Well, you see, the other thing is they don't even have a chance to get used to any system. Mourinho's made 53 changes to his starting lineup in the Premier League this season. That's 8 more than any other team.
Yeah.
That can't be right.
And that's not Mourinho, is it, Joe? How many times did we see Mourinho at his best at Chelsea? And he spoke there about Inter Milan and he spoke there about Porto. I remember Porto's team, 1 to 11, you knew the side. Inter Milan, apart from a couple of changes maybe up front, but back 4, midfield 2, 3, however he was playing, you knew who was playing. Same with Chelsea. Yeah. He might play Willian instead of whoever. He might play but you knew who was playing. Essentially, it was 13 players he was going to pick from when you would get to a game. United, it just seems like it's just throw a lot of balls up and then let's see where they land.
It's a mishmash. So the board are obviously coming under scrutiny as well. Gary Neville has led that charge for some time. He's been looking towards the board. You wonder if Neville's interested in a position there.
100%, isn't he?
Do you think so?
He looks to me, doesn't it? It looks like that's the way he's angling, isn't he?
It does a bit.
He sees his future in an administration role. It doesn't necessarily want to go back into coaching. Doesn't want day-to-day management style. Doesn't want that. That's where he sees his future. And
I suspect he'd be good at it too, actually.
I think he probably would. But again, when your head's on the block, it's different. United are way behind. If he took that job now, I can't see United win the league in the next 4 or 5 years unless they go out and get a Pochettino or whoever it's going to be that's going to go into the place and change it. He was speaking yesterday, Gary Neville. It's almost like now you've got to hit the reset button and you're starting from scratch and you think, right, you're sacrificing 2 years here now. Liverpool have gone through such a barren spell. United are Liverpool 20 years ago.
It feels like that.
That's exactly how they are.
It's remarkable how history repeats sometimes. So he was on Roy Keane yesterday. Did you see much of Roy yesterday?
Bits, a little bit pre-match, and I saw a little bit post-match.
It's funny with Roy.
I saw the Twitter pieces, the Twitter clips they were putting out.
In all the times Roy's been doing analysis, he's never once broken down a game tactically or pointed something out that you haven't seen. His delivery is just so compelling, you watch it. But if you're to read what he's saying, it's things like they're an average team, the players aren't good enough. Stuff that anyone could throw out there. But when he's got the beard and the eyes...
No one says it better.
And the constant threat of anything could kick off here, it's just got a little something, you know? And there's a novelty value as well, I suppose. But Neville and Keane were talking about the theme that you're talking about, which is a reset button, Woodward, the board, Mourinho's future. Here's a clip of Neville and Keane yesterday on Sky.
Yeah, I think it'll happen, whether it happens during the season. I think that my preference always would be to try and get to the end of the season. I think, to be honest with you, the boardroom is so naive. It's unbelievable. But on the manager... Can you let me finish? They're so naive. To give him an extended contract, knowing the cycle of Mourinho with 3 years, the third year is always the difficult year for him. So, 18 months in, he's second in the league, he's won 2 trophies in his first season, the players are happy with him. At that point is the point to hold your nerve and keep him hungry in that third season. The minute he came back from pre-season, he was at it, and the club lost control. And there isn't that experience or that knowledge in the football club above him to be able to manage him and control him and handle him. And his agent's out last week, he goes into press conferences, they're not sure what he's going to say next, and they don't know what to do with him.
Is there any benefit from keeping him there?
Well, the problem they'll have now is that it'll cost an absolute fortune to lose him. When you lose a manager during the season, you've always then got the situation of who comes in. Are they going to get the manager that they want for the next 3-4 years at the football club? It's not just as easy as saying, oh, let's get rid of the manager. Because Manchester United need to reset. And it's not just the manager. It's deeper than that. You know what I mean? We're Manchester United. You've got to get a grip of your football club.
Gary, you speak about that, about Manchester United and leadership from the top, but then on the other hand, we criticise whoever is the board, whoever, because they don't back him with the centre-back. What is the leadership when you actually make a decision?
Absolutely, you make a decision and you back him by giving him the centre-backs he wants, but then they pulled out on him. They withdrew. They gave him the contract, then withdrew on the signings.
So what would be the mess?
That's why he's frustrated. That's why he's frustrated. They didn't back him. I think the easiest thing is to say, look at the manager, and because I've done a little bit of it, the manager seems to want to suffer. Get him out the door. His CV warrants, would it be another year? It certainly won't do anything, I think, during the course of the season. But I would say, Mourinho, they talk about Pep Guardiola being a brilliant manager, a genius. Klopp here. I think Pep Guardiola in his first season at Man City won nothing. Went to the board and said, I need 4 defenders. He didn't go, I need 1. He went 4, and they backed him. No, he might have asked for other players, but they backed him. Klopp, over the last few years, we've been watching Liverpool go, yeah, they're not bad, but they're desperate for a goalkeeper, they're desperate for centre-half, and they wouldn't have got it. And all of a sudden, now we're all sitting there going, Liverpool are going places, still to win a trophy. And I think Mourinho now is in that position where he went, listen, OK, you can talk about players who've come in, it's not worked out, but it doesn't mean to say you make a bad situation worse by persevering with these lads. Man United bought players before when we were there, or Alex Ferguson, and it's not worked out. You move them on. That's the name of the game. We're talking here about how many points behind Liverpool and Man City. That's going to get bigger. That's not Man United's problem. The problem is get back to being a really good team and winning football matches and having a solid foundation.
Duncan Castles reckons that they'll have to pay Mourinho 24 million, or else Mourinho and his backroom team, but it'll cost them 24 million to sack him. Though there is an understanding as well, off the ball, as an article on this, they understand that they could save as much as 7 million. There's an interesting clause in Mourinho's contract with regard to their European status.
Again, that's obviously something that is extra 7 million to Mourinho if they're still in the Champions League when they sack him. All these sort of things that.
So if he's knocked out in their PSG encounter, the day after the PSG second leg, if they're out of Europe and they sack him, it's 7 million cheaper.
Yeah, personally to him, yeah.
Okay.
Again, to a club
what's 7 million to United?
Well, exactly. If they want to sack him, they sack him. It does seem that the whole thing I was saying before, the relationship between players and manager board, it's all fractured. Everything seems wrong. It does all seem wrong. 7 million to United now is a huge sum of money to Mourinho personally. Of course, it would be.
I wonder, is there some sense of them having completely fallen out with Mourinho and not wanting to give him the satisfaction?
Wanting to shaft him well and truly.
Yeah.
Well, you could see it, couldn't you?
They'll be waiting until the 13th of March then to sack him.
Yes, that is.
That's a long time away, considering how much drudgery the last few months have been.
Well, exactly. And what will it cost them if they don't qualify? You know what they now? I think they're 11 points. Is that right? They're 11 points off fourth place now. It looks unlikely they're going to qualify for next season's Champions League because they're not going to win it, are they? Let's be frank. I can't see them winning it. How they've performed in the Champions League, I just can't see it. I'm not saying they won't, but I can't see them doing it. Off the back of that, top four this season doesn't look realistic to me. All the sides above them are playing better than them. They're playing a better brand of football. United look way off it. So they've got a good run of fixtures where they could quite conceivably win the next 4 games. Yeah. But I don't think that's going to happen. What is the point in Man United delaying the inevitable? What is the point now? There's no logic. Just cut your ties. Pay the 7 million, or pay the 24 million, whatever it's going to be. And it's a vast sum of money, don't we? You say that.
It's not really. I wonder if the issue is they don't know who to replace him with. Yeah. Who's the obvious choice? And if this board is naive, as Neville says, who's the obvious choice to replace Mourinho?
I don't think, unless Zidane, who's been spoken about as well, unless he brings in a super coach, someone that's dramatically going to change that style, and then you throw in his motivational little bits and bobs. Zidane never struck me as that hands-on manager or hands-on coach, like a Guardiola, like a Klopp, like a Pochettino, whoever one of these coaches continues out in the training ground, drilling into the players' minds little patterns of play, little passages. I don't think he's that type. No. I don't think he is. So if he goes into United, then he's going to have to bring a hell of a coach with him, which he may well do. That could be the dream ticket for United. A Pochettino would be appealing to United. That's been muted a lot, that United fancy him, but Real Madrid fancy him. Where would he fancy if he were to leave Spurs? And that, again, is doing a bit of an injustice to Spurs, given the position that they're in. They're in a stronger position than United now, aren't they? So it's probably going to be another season of Spurs qualify for the Champions League, so why would he walk away from that? But
so who's third in line?
Who else is available? You've got Conte. I can't see. Is Conte going to go into United and upset all the players? He'll upset them probably more than Mourinho. He could probably get a little bit more out of them tactically, I suppose. He might get a bounce from them straight away, but I don't see him being the answer. A Pochettino, if he were ever to come available, yes, I could see him.
So that's not going to happen.
I don't see it happening.
So if you're the board at Manchester United,
so you're saying let's stick with him. Let's just stick with him.
Maybe he'll turn it around, or maybe we just have to wait until we.
But even that comment,
that
little throwaway comment at the end when he was asked about Pogba, no, I'm quite happy with Herrera, Matic, and Lingard, whoever. What is the point? He's your star, regardless of anything. He's your star player. He's a star player. He's the world-renowned player. If he can't get in that United side, there's something seriously wrong, given how they pass, given how they play.
Well, I hate to break it to you, Kev, there is something seriously wrong.
Well, I know, exactly.
So we should touch on Liverpool then. Jurgen Klopp, this is him in the press conference, obviously much, much happier than Jose Mourinho.
Brilliant start, was one of the best performances we had since I'm in Liverpool, to be honest, not only the season. Just the first half an hour was outstanding. How we played was just perfect. We tried to pass. We had in the right areas. We accelerated. We won the balls back. We played in behind the line, stuff like that, and it was just good. You need a bit of luck, but we needed both goals deflected, stuff like that. But being in the situations, having these moments, that's just that was football. And the first goal, that was what a goal! What a goal! It was brilliant, exactly like you have to do it. Fantastic pass, super control, fantastic finish. So that's how it should be. So, nearly perfect night for us.
Pretty much sums it up.
Do you know what? I think it's different. Liverpool fans have probably been screaming at us. We spoke about Man United and the negative aspect of it. I think we spoke about it before you coming on. You're thinking, like, where do we go first? But the story of yesterday was about Man United and the demise of the club and where it's going to. So it had to be. But
Liverpool's still good is not as pressing an issue.
Yeah,
they are. Everything about them is just rolling very nicely at the moment.
And I mean, you and I, when we were speaking pre-match yesterday, we were talking about the fact is we fancy Liverpool. Liverpool, if they play half as well as they're capable of playing, they're going to win the game.
They should have won 5-0.
Yeah.
Yesterday was a 5-0 game.
Yeah.
So Fabinho, you gave man of the match to 28 passes forward, only 2 went back. He's growing into that role in a big way.
Yeah, I haven't been that impressed with him in the first few games that I saw him, because I felt, as I said yesterday, just a little bit lethargic on the ball, probably wanted an extra touch on the ball, wasn't able to get up to speed.
That is the pace of the Premier League in some respects.
But he was good last week. I was at Bournemouth last week, and it was at Bournemouth. They played a little bit more of a pressing game than United. At home, you expect them to be a little bit more high tempo, but they weren't the Bournemouth that I've seen over the last couple of years, where they're seriously going high tempo.
Yeah.
But he looked good. He looked very good. The way he moved the ball, he looked like he's starting to grow into the role that he's asked to play now at Liverpool. And yesterday, I said it, I think it was way beyond his best performance. He was superb. From the start of the game, he was the one that set the tempo for Liverpool, with putting his foot in, breaking play up, setting traps in pressing people ahead of him. Then he was the one that would win the ball after United maybe got 1 or 2 passes around them. Yeah. And then it was his distribution on the ball. As you say there, and I mean, I didn't know that until you'd said it, 2 passes backwards. That says it all from that position, that it's an easy one to go backwards and sideways, and I've seen it constantly. If you flip it the other side of Matic, poor season, backwards, sideways a lot this season, whereas him, Fabinho, stepping into midfield, playing forward, the ball for Mane was sensational. It was a great ball, wasn't it?
So the trajectory of it was just perfect.
It was
just
lovely.
so good. I remember a couple of years ago going to see Manchester United against Villarreal. I think it was about 2005, and Rio Ferdinand was coming into his peak.
Yeah.
And at the ground, his presence hung over the whole game. There was just something emanating from him. He was able to nip in and pick balls. He won every header. Anytime a ball went within his vicinity, he was just in charge. Balls in behind, he was beating the forwards for pace. It was just like commanding.
Yeah.
And that comes through actually with Van Dijk through the television. So I can only imagine when you're watching him that there's that same sense of complete control over the whole game.
Do you know, he's going to make a mistake. He's going to make a mistake being probably a little bit too lethargic. That's going to happen with him, and you can maybe accept it. But you're watching him, and he has that way about him, and you'll know, anyone that's watched so much football over the years, you know, when it looks as though he has that extra second to take everything on board, view where the opposition player is, or the direct opponent that he's up against, where the ball's going to go, and he reads it. Everywhere the ball is, he knows where it's going to go. That's what it seems when he's playing. Positional sense is incredible. His pace is something that you don't necessarily see. He is rapid. He's like Ferdinand. He is. I'd probably say he's better than Ferdinand. I do. I think he's got a better passing range than Ferdinand. Yeah. That is the thing. Probably as good in the air, I would say, as Ferdinand. I think physically as good as Ferdinand, as quick as Ferdinand. I think he's got a better passing range than Ferdinand.
There was a moment in the first half where him and Alisson got quite close together, and there was a fear, you know, they were kind of, and Van Dijk was being pressed, and he just calmed it all down very quickly, and it was a good pass. Like Phil Jones would have scored no G.
Do you know what? That's exactly what I was going to say.
Phil Jones would have chipped the keeper.
I heard you and Kenny arguing about it last week. Totally Phil Jones' fault.
Totally, 100% Phil Jones.
Kenny's a centre-half, and I understand what he's saying there. He does not need to go to ground, because what Phil Jones did last week, if anyone's seen that goal, the own goal he scored against Valencia, he has Batshuayi on the wrong side of him. So he knows that Batshuayi is on his left-hand side. He does not need to go to ground. Yeah. All he needs to do is just stop the run, push himself back into Batshuayi. The ball runs back through to Romeo in goal.
Kev, talk to Kenny, not me.
Yeah, I will.
Preaching to the choir, my
I'm
friend.
totally with you.
One last one I wanted to ask you.
But that's what Van Dijk would have done. Van Dijk would have done that.
Just phenomenal. Before we go to an ad break, then you saw the Liverpool's front three in person. There's been so much talk about them. Yeah. So what was your read on them?
Salah through the middle, underrated, Joe, with his back to goal. Totally underrated Salah with his back to goal. I think I saw him down at Bournemouth last week again, and again he scored a hat-trick in that game. I saw him I can't remember the game before that anyway, I don't think he scored in the game, but Joe, his link-up play is brilliant. He backs in, he's so strong, you can't get the ball off him. He's got that little way about him. If the ball's played in with a bit of pace as well, he can roll defenders, so great playing as a number 9. Firmino, was excellent. I thought in yesterday, just his work rate, winning the ball back, nicking the ball from the wrong side of Matic and Herrera, great.
He didn't look as tired.
Mane, looking back to his best as well. So the front three were in full flow yesterday, yeah.
Okay. Champions League draw made today. We'll talk about that next.
Yeah.
Do you want to say hi to the Air Sport viewers there at home?
No. Give me traditional sugar coat.
Football on Off the Ball.
Brought to you by Boyle Sports. Now with same-day withdrawals to your Visa debit card.
News Talk Breakfast.
We're not getting a turkey this year. You're what? We're going for roast beef for dinner this year. Turkey's what? Turkey's crap. I don't like turkey.
Dave in Dublin says it's not Christmas dinner without turkey and sprouts. Shane, you disgust me. Get off the fence, Dave. And Mick in Wexford says, I'm sorry, but no turkey. Blasphemer. I have to sit down now for a while. And someone else has just texted in, Shane, WTF?
News Talk Breakfast.
In association with AIR.
Back tomorrow on News Talk.
Thursday the 17th of April 2014. My whole life was shattered and my heart was broken when my worst nightmare had been confirmed. Early Saturday, Kieran was brought to me on a stretcher. I tried to hold him on my best side with total disbelief. None of this made any sense. I spent that night with Kieran, talking to him and making the most of our final hours together. I didn't realise I would never see him again. The other driver was drunk.
'Twas the night before Christmas and all through the house. New appliances had been installed with a click of a mouse. A fridge freezer, a dishwasher, new oven and hob. A 50-inch TV and speakers, just the job. You see, at Appliances Delivered, we always endeavour to make each festive season the best one ever. And with deliveries up to Christmas, you can count on us to get Christmas sorted without any fuss. AppliancesDelivered.ie. Christmas delivered.
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
The Pat Kenny Show.
On tomorrow's programme, Vive la France, Macron's Year of Hell. Christmas drinks, is there any way to avoid headaches and hangovers? And Niall Stokes on his new book on YouTube.
The Pat Kenny Show.
With MasterCard.
Tomorrow morning at 9.
On News Talk. Off the Ball. This is News Talk.
Okay, Kev, Champions League draw. Let's do this quickly. Schalke versus City.
Yeah, City.
Atletico versus Juventus.
Great game.
Great game.
Well,
this is the hipster choice.
Two best defences in European football, I would say. Ronaldo could be the X factor in this. I'd go Juve. I'd love to have seen one of these two sides go all the way, but I just fancy Juve. Juve got the edge in this one, I think.
Manchester United against PSG. The David Beckham derby.
PSG got too much.
Comfortably. Spurs against Borussia Dortmund's an interesting one, Kev.
Yeah, it is. You see, man, Jadon Sancho at the weekend.
Yeah, he is good.
I'd like to get Lee Carsey on, actually, just to chat around Sancho. He had him in his youth team at City. It'd be a good one to chat around him, particularly around this game. Spurs beat them last year, looked too strong for them. Top of the Bundesliga. How strong is that at the moment? I don't know.
Well, you're supposed to know, you're a pundit.
No, I'm saying how strong is the league in general? How strong is the league in general? Did it well getting out? I'm not so sure. No, Bayern are not the side that they were. I heard Graham Souness talk.
We're skipping ahead here. Spurs against Dortmund.
No. What I'm saying here, he all fancies Bayern to go quite. I don't fancy Bayern at all.
I'll get to Bayern in a minute.
No, but my point being is Dortmund are top of that league and they're 9 points ahead of them.
Yeah.
I don't fancy them. So do you know what? I'll go with Spurs.
Right, I don't know how we got there, but we got there.
Yeah, all right.
Once you feel the logic.
I'm trying to take you off for a tangent to try and get you back.
No time for a tangent.
All right, go on.
Lyon against Bayern, hence the nature of this questioning.
Yeah,
Lyon against Barcelona.
Barca. Yeah.
Roma, Porto, who cares?
Roma.
Ajax, Real Madrid.
Real Madrid.
Yeah.
Should do. Ajax a good side, improving.
I know, we did a piece on them last week.
But they should have enough. Yeah, I'll listen to it. I'm listening to you. If I'm not here, I'm listening to you.
Great, so you're listening a lot then.
Yeah.
Liverpool against...
Not an arse.
Bayern Munich are third, they're 9 points off Dortmund, as you felt the need already to point out. So Liverpool against Bayern.
Yeah, I fancy Liverpool. Too strong.
I think I'm with you on all them. Hey, mention of Leon. Did you see Memphis Depay's interview in the Sunday Times yesterday?
No, I didn't, but I listened to the paper review as well, Joe, yesterday. I've had a lot of time in the car. I got the boat over yesterday, so I've listened to a lot of podcasts over the last 48 hours and everything. Very, very good. But
it's worth reading.
Yeah.
So Memphis Depay is a byword for mediocrity in the post-Ferguson era. Now, you say to Manchester United fans, Memphis Depay, and they'll be another player that was bought in, one of many, and just didn't quite happen. Yeah, just of that ilk.
Mattia Darmian.
Exactly. It seems since he moved to Lyon, he's been great. He's had 33 goals and 33 assists in 84 league and European games. He was sipping Coke and nibbling olives when he was interviewed by Jonathan Northcroft. Lyon has allowed me to be who I am, to be free on the pitch and outside as well. One of the interesting things was he said Van Gaal felt he was training too much.
Yeah.
He said, in my big house, I wasn't really happy. I was only 21, 22. And he said, we didn't fall out. It was just a misconnection, me and Van Gaal. As a team, we didn't play great football. He said, if you've talented young players, me, Anthony Martial, Luke Shaw, the others, they need freedom. So he talked about being out practicing his left foot and his crosses with Ryan Giggs, and Van Gaal called him in and said, why are you training? He said, I want to improve. He said, your crosses are fine. It's all in your head. It's kind of strange.
Sometimes Van Gaal could be right, but I'd be one... I listened to Damien Duff talking recently about trying to get hours into players and try to get them training. Work on your weaknesses. Keep going on them. That's what I would be in favour of that as well. I'd be totally in favour of that. And it's interesting. You see, I think Van Gaal would have been from that alone. It immediately sticks out. Periodisation. You know, less time in the training ground. Get your body prepared for the next day. But how are you working on your technique? How are you working? If something isn't going right, what I usually used to find, if you put a few bad crosses in, didn't happen a lot, Joe, of course, in a game, but you'd immediately want to go out and work on your crossing. You want to go out and work on, it's not going right, and then a few go wrong for you, and then you're trying to work on your right foot, little check back, wouldn't have been great, right, but just clip it into an area, put it into an area. We know the keeper can't come, you're trying to put it in, just little things like this. So you've got to admire him for doing that.
You feel more confident.
And yet you've got a manager that's saying no. Doesn't want you to work on your game.
And weirdly, he's got Ryan Giggs helping him.
Yeah.
You know, and he's...
But that would have been the culture from Giggs, that era.
It was the Cantona.
Cantona, yeah,
Cantona
exactly.
culture, yeah. So, and he talked as well, he came through as a number 10 in behind the striker, and Van Gaal sticks him out in the left wing. He said, it wasn't like you weren't allowed to dribble. It was just the many tasks that you had. When you give some players too much information, they think too much. And he says that was the theme. He was just weighed down with all of this stuff. And he said in the Mourinho era...
I get that from Van Gaal, though.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean...
Do you know, the dossier, every time a player's coming off the bench now, and it's like, you need to be... You've got like an A4 bit of paper in front of you, and there's about 20 different things you've got to do on the pitch. Yeah. Like, you want to actually get onto the pitch and get into the games. Do these lads know that talking you through all this, that you've actually got to go on and run around, and there is nothing worse than coming onto a Premier League game off the bench. The pace is incredible, and you come off the bench and you are knackered after 5 minutes.
Gasping, yeah.
You are. You can't get your breath. Your calf muscles are aching, and you're trying to process these 20 bits of information that you've got to do on set pieces, to do when you're in possession. To do, it is amazing. It is amazing sometimes, honestly.
So he was talking as well about the perception of him, because in the press he was billed as a party boy and nice car and out and about, and he said that I was driving my nice car, I wasn't enjoying it. I felt like people didn't like me. They imagine I'm thinking I'm better than I am, or I'm better than them. I was struggling with that. I remember some of the quotes about me, like party boy, that's just pure lies. I went out once in 1.5 years in Manchester. It wasn't even fun. I'm not a party boy, and talked about reconnecting with his Christian faith in later years. He said, now my life is very natural. I think I can be a main player at one of the top 5 clubs in the world, but football's not my only purpose. I'm enjoying being in the moment in the game, letting things flow. I'm not even at 70% of where I can go.
Just one thing. I don't know how much time we've got here, but just one thing.
2-3 minutes tops.
Off the back of that is that there is a culture at times within football that you've, and I think probably in any walk of life it would be, you've got to try and fit in with the Joneses, fit in with them, so you've got to have a certain car. If you've not got a certain car, he's gone to a big club like United, I've got to try and fit in here. Full well, you don't need to do that. He needs a 6-bedroomed house. But he's living on his own. Go and get a nice apartment for yourself. Go and live in the city centre and get a nice apartment, or wherever, in the suburbs, wherever. Yeah. It's almost as if there's a need for you to conform to what the rest of the team is actually doing, and it's absolute garbage. It's rubbish.
See, he makes the point, I was only 21, 22.
Yeah.
So young.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, most 21-year-olds don't know who they are, really. It's tough. So chuck 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 grand a week at them, and all the pressure. It's madness.
I know, it is. That's the pressure that's been put on young players, isn't it?
It is. Meanwhile, Messi scored his 43rd hat-trick at the weekend. Yeah. Just want to mention that.
That's 50th goal, club and country for 2018 as well.
Is that right?
Yeah. Amazing. It's not a bad season.
No, it's not bad.
I think Gary Lineker keeps tweeting around, doesn't he? Number 5
in the world.
Number 5 in the world.
Yeah. Not bad for the 5th best player in the world. Back in a second.
On News Talk. News Talk Breakfast.
We've been getting a number of texts in here for you, Kieran, calling you, of all things, a snowflake.
Yeah, just a few. What an insufferable pair. Now with Kieran the Snowflake Cudahy having joined News Talk Breakfast. Kieran Cudahy showing true snowflake traits this morning. Would Kieran ever just go get a life and stop being such a snowflake millennial? Typical Kieran Cudahy snowflake garbage as usual. Snowflake, 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 snowflake.
Well, 'tis the season for snowflakes after all.
News Talk Breakfast.
In association with Air.
With Shane Coleman and Kieran Cudahy.
I am not a snowflake.
Weekday mornings at 7 on News Talk.
Football Index is reinventing football betting. You can buy and sell the world's top players. Their value may go up and down, but it's not over with the final whistle like a regular bet. Football Index reinventing football betting.
Start building your portfolio today at footballindex.co.uk or download the app now. New customers only, minimum deposit and conditions apply. Gamble responsibly.
It's not too late to get them the gifts they'll really love at Harvey Norman. Whether it's the Beats EP on-ear headphones for just €59, saving you €40, delivering masterfully tuned sound with unlimited playback thanks to their battery-free design. Or the Dyson V10 cord-free vacuum with up to 60 minutes of fade-free suction for just €449. Harvey Norman has them all, plus hundreds more gift ideas in-store and online. Christmas wrapped up. Love Harvey Norman.
Ever wondered what life is really like in the New York Police Department? NYPD Behind the Scenes is a stunning new book by award-winning Irish photographer Mark Condren. Photographed over 2 years whilst embedded with the NYPD, it captures the humour, heartache and heroism in the day-to-day life of New York's finest. A limited edition of NYPD Behind the Scenes is now available. Secure your copy in time for Christmas at markcondren.com.
It's not you, it's me. Actually, it is you. When we first met, you were all I wanted, but now you're just too limiting. I want to express myself, do things I've never done, be creative. I just need more from a phone.
Looking for the new love of your life? The Samsung Note 9 comes with the new Bluetooth-enabled S Pen, allowing you to scribble notes and take pictures remotely. And until December 24th, we're offering up to €165 cashback on a range of Samsung tech, including tablets, phones and wearables. Available from select retailers. Terms and conditions apply.
My favourite Christmas movie is Home Alone. I have just great memories of Home Alone and I still love it. I'd still sit down and watch it this Christmas.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year from News Talk. Off the ball. This is News Talk.
Get in there. That's what I pay you for.
I think conceit and arrogance is part of a man's makeup. Perhaps I've got too much.
I believe in a different concept of football to Don.
We don't play in the clouds. If God wanted us to play football in the clouds, he'd have put grass there.
That might mean, aiming for utopia, and it might mean being a little bit stupid. But that is the way I am.
And if anything is going to win second division this season, it's character. And I've got it.
How do you react though when someone, from your playing staff comes and says, "Boss, I think you're doing this wrongly"?
Good. Well, I ask him which way he thinks it should be done, and then we talk about it for 20 minutes, and then we decide I was right.
Oh, you are a bloody disgrace! For missing the target from there, you want bloody shooting!
We're getting too much of that, and I suggest you shut up and show more football. Happiness comes with insight.
I'm a little bit of an idealist.
I'm a good socialist.
I do believe in fairies.
I'm a good dad.
And that is my, outlook.
I'm happy. Okay, smash it. Give us a kiss.
So that's pretty much just done for this evening. Paul and Cork's and Gary Neville made a very interesting point after the game yesterday, likened Jose's time now to how Neville's end of days at Valencia were, where he just played the players he liked, regardless of ability or price tag. Certainly feels that way when you look at Pogba sitting there. Thomas, lads, yesterday's pay-per-view top-notch as always. Do we have the Paul Kimmage, Padraig Harrington duet to look forward to over the festive season? Do you know what? That is a good point, actually. We had them in last January and Padraig Harrington promised he would do it again in a year's time. So I tell you what, Thomas, we'll get on to them. We'll get on to Kimmage and Harrington and see, do they have a spare weekend coming up where they could both do it? We'll try and make that happen. It was brilliant last January. That's pretty much just done. You can podcast the show in all the usual places. Don't forget OTBAM tomorrow, as usual, on all our social channels, 7:45 a.m. And then tomorrow night we are back. I'm pretty much done for the Christmas now. I'm putting my feet up. So 7 o'clock tomorrow, Owen Sheehan will be in alongside Mr. Kilban, Dave McIntyre in on Wednesday, Nathan Murphy as usual on a Thursday. I'll talk to you when I talk to you. Have a good Christmas. And Richie McCormack is up next. Good luck.